Good morning, everyone. I, Nia Gada, the captain of the school, welcome one and all to day 2 of Anweshan 2022, which is on Singhania School's YouTube Live platform, a platform of the Thessalonians, for the Thessalonians, and by the Thessalonians. As is our tradition, we begin our program with the school song. I request all of you to please rise for the school song. We are very blessed to have among us our Vice Principal, Mrs. Kanchanmala Chabukswa Madam. I request Madam to address us.
Good morning, all of you. It's my pleasure to have this Anweshan Day 2 on the school platform. And I would love to address the students as well as parents, saying that we have not stopped our work, even though it was declared as pandemic. The experiments, the discoveries, the innovative knowledges, whatever the children have gathered, they have made lovely presentation for the benefit of everyone. The topic and the theme of this year's Anweshan is the marvels of ancient India, and by which we would love to inform the audience, the students, and everybody, those who are watching this program, that how we can connect with our roots. This is very, very important to know what our ancestors have worked upon and to continue the legacy. So many things are written in our Veda, Purana, our architectures, our ancient temples, our monuments, our forts, the alloys which were used in development of the nuts and the bolts, the cannons, the balls, etc., the weapons. This is a very small gesture to bring the glimpse of that in front of the audience. And we are very happy to have an eminent scholar, Dr. Radha Kumar, with us. She has very gladly consented to be the chief guest for yesterday's Anweshan Day 1, and she is there with us on Day 2 also. Dr. Radha Kumar is an associate professor at St. Xavier's College. She teaches and links ancient history with the modern world. She has also learned a trained dancer, an eminent sitarist, and we could not find any other best person than Dr. Radha Kumar. Yesterday, when she watched our presentations one by one, it was so nice to hear her. She linked all the presentations with the modern world and explained to the audience how connection is very important. So today's guests also would like to listen to her. So I will invite Dr. Radha Kumar to speak to the audience.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt, but you are on mute. Ma'am, can you unmute?
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, madam. Yes.
So
Thank you so much.
much. Thank you so much, Kanchana madam, for that lovely introduction. I'm so honored, grateful. I feel so blessed to be a part of this entire endeavor. I also would like to thank the fellow colleagues and teachers of the school who've joined this session, and the student Nia, who so beautifully started this entire session, and of course the technical support teacher who's also who's making this entire endeavor possible, students as well as parents who've joined this entire session. Absolutely privileged, totally honored, and I feel blessed. As Kanchana madam said, she just mentioned that yesterday I was also a part of this entire process, and I did see what the students have done. And what they did was such an amazing learning experience for me too. Various aspects of ancient India, it was demonstrated through various experiments, practices, and also the process was put across by the students, including grade 3 students. Now, when we are looking at education, education is basically a way by which we discover. It is a yatra to know, it is a yatra to unfurl various aspects. And what better way of looking at this entire process with a new lens? We are not trying to say that the various subjects that are part of our educational curriculum, the topics that are taught in our schools, in our colleges are redundant. Absolutely no. We need to be a part with the world. In fact, we need to step up with the world and be a part of the entire narratives and discourses. But I think it's about time that we also look at what our ancient culture and civilization, and especially what ancient Indian history culture has to offer. Kanchana madam very beautifully said when she just started explaining, she talked about the various knowledge systems that existed, and I would agree with her completely and totally. I'm a jignasu myself. I have been teaching this particular subject for over 2 decades. And one paper that I teach that is part of our courses in our TY classes is Science and Technology of Ancient India. Many a time I get asked this question that, ma'am, did sciences really exist in our country? Because India is always known to be a land of spirituality. India is always known to be a country which celebrated culture in so many ways. Okay, and we are also proud of it. And Indian culture, cliched as it may sound, is a living tradition, it's a living culture. A lot of practices that we do today, which could be a part of day-to-day practices, is something that can be traced back to about 4500 BCE to the various sites of the Harappa civilization, or through the various concepts that is there enshrined in our Vedas, in our Puranas, in our Smriti literature, Sutra literature, etc. It is a practice that has been coming down to us largely through an oral tradition, and that is why the Vedas is also given another name called Shruti, because Shruti also means a musical note. So without knowing, sometimes even without our knowledge, we are connected to our roots. We are connected to our Moolasthana in so many ways. And we do this in a very blended fashion, whether it's the kind of food that we eat, the kind of practices, the samskaras that we follow, the various vidhis that that are part of our day-to-day life. It is entrenched into our ethos. What is fascinating, my dear students, parents, and friends who are watching this, is a lot of that, there is science that gets blended in, and we are really not aware. Small examples, in fact, yesterday it was so heartening to see a presentation on Ayurveda, and especially when this child actually demonstrated cooking. That's so true. Even in our day-to-day food, we use so many herbs, which is so good for our health, and which also goes back to our Ayurveda, which talks about the three dosha theory, which is the Vayu, Pitta, and Kapha. And to that extent, it also takes us to the Ashtanga Ayurveda. So it's so fascinating to see the blend that Singhania School and Anweshan is doing to get these narratives and to get these discourses into the public domain, and sow these seeds of thoughts with students, with young students, so that they can think about this, they can act on this, and maybe sometime later there could be a beautiful synthesis of, say, a student studying chemistry could also inquire and could also find out what existed in our Rasayana Shastras. Rasayana is the ancient name for alchemy, which gave a lot of importance to mercury and sulfur. There are various texts. So when you're studying history, especially when you're studying ancient India, or when we're studying the entire discourse, please understand that we make our studies and we base our opinion on strong sources. Now, these sources can be classified into archaeological sources as well as literary sources. If we are looking at archaeological sources would have art, it would have architecture, it would have metallurgy, numismatics, epigraphy, sites, pottery. All of that can come under what we study as archaeological sources. Under the literary sources, we classify that into two schools, which is the Astika sources and the Nastika sources. And under the Nastika sources, we study what is called as the Buddhist as well as Jain sources. Charvakas, and the Charvakas basically also would imply the Epicurean, hedonistic school of Indian philosophy and discourses. And we are also studying the Buddhist as well as Jain sources. Under the Astika sources, we take the entire sources that we understand as what we call as Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma, which would have the Vedas, which would have the Vedangas, which would have the Puranas, the Smriti, the Sutra, the Itihasa. So a lot of that, the Dharma Shastra literature, comes under this particular domain. So sources itself is a huge platform that we get. It's like a bouquet of various flowers, bouquet of so many things that we can get. And by studying all of that, we realize the rich source material, the rich culture that existed in this particular land. Apart from this, we also have something which is called a secular literature, which includes very beautiful plays, dramas, which of Kalidasa, various writers like Kalidasa, Bhasa, Bhana, Shudraka, Magha, to name a Bhavabhuti. Okay, there are lots of these plays that are also part of this discourse. So what I'm trying to tell you, my dear students, parents, and friends, is art gets linked to architecture. Architecture gets linked to the entire sites, and all of that gets linked to an entire darohar, if I can say, an entire space, a treasure of literature, which could be right from the sources of things like the Brihat Samhita, Varamera, Vishnu Dharmottara Puran, the various texts that deals with Vastu Shastra. So there are no compartmentalizations. Education and the culture that existed in our country was not on this divisive things of what we study as arts, science, or commerce. We didn't have that kind of discourse. A student after the Upanayana Samskara, which happened at the age of 3.5, or sometimes say between the age of 4 to about 11, would go into a Vedic Charana. In the Vedic Charana, under the very careful eye of the Acharya, where the student himself or herself was called as Acharya Kulavasin, the entire process of studies began. And in that studies, in those various subjects that they studied what was called as Lekya Karman, they studied what was called as Ratna Pariksha, Sarvalipi, Vastu Vidya, Rasi Vidya, Nakshatra Vidya, Vako Vakyam, and the various texts that are associated with Rasayana which could be like Rasayana Hridaya, Rasaratna Sammuchaya, Rasa Ratna Akara, various texts that are there. Along with this, there was also textual elements or textual, a very famous text, which is also called as Mahayukti Kalpataru. In fact, yesterday there was one presentation on shipbuilding, and I was so happy listening to that because there is a text called Mahayukti Kalpataru, which has been written by Bhoja, which actually speaks totally about how ships and shipbuilding was done. And believe me, these texts, apart from the shipbuilding, there are also the various ratios and proportions that has been given for ships, which was used for regular trade, and ships also for luxury ships, as we have today cruises. So there were various ships that was also mentioned for that. It is totally and absolutely mind-boggling. In the various texts that we have for Rasayana, there are descriptions that are done totally of how a Rasashala has to be constructed. And now the Rasashala has to have certain specifications. It has to have the various chemicals or various, chemicals kept in a particular angle. And the best part of the whole discourse as to how the Rasashala, etc., has to be constructed, they took a lot of importance to the entire the sthala, how the sthala was, the energies there. They also took into consideration of the Panchamahabhutas. So it was a link of constantly trying to connect the individual to the cosmos, to the entire universe. So the individual, my dear friends, was not just the person that you would have to be dealing with. They were very sensitive about the fact that the individual was connected to the entire Brahmand. The individual was part and parcel of this entire discourse. And most importantly, they respected the other flora and fauna that existed in the society. And the individual or the Sikh or the human being, in that sense, could not be separated, could not be divorced from the entire environment. Aren't we facing this problem today, if I may say so, because of this disconnect? Now, this is something maybe all of us should really ponder. So since I'm emphasizing on this, another very interesting aspect that came about was what we call, or what the Vedic rishis talked about, was Ritta. Ritta basically implies the cosmic rhythm, the cosmic rhythm that existed. And rhythm was part of our entire discourses again. Rhythm was also tal. The tal is seen in music. Now, any tal that you take, it has to be balanced in a particular way. Tala also becomes a unit of measurement for our various sculptures. So again, as a seeker myself, as a person who's studying this particular space, I see a beautiful synergy, a beautiful link, again, between art, architecture, philosophy, spirituality, music, and dance. There is no disconnect whatsoever. And what is the connect? I think that is what we all really need to be so proud of, the fact that we belong to this ancient civilization, is the fact that we are the reflection of that cosmic essence. Okay, so even there are words like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, etc. They meant it. It was just not being said because it sounded good, or when they started off the Vedas with Ekam Sarvipra Bahuda Vadanti. It's not that it was sounding. They really meant it. And they tried to create a lifestyle. They tried to create a system by which the individual would walk that path, very similarly to what is happening right now with this entire yajna of Anweshan. That if you want to instill those thoughts in the students, if you want to start this discourse, it is important that you create a platform. It is important that there is a project, there is some kind of a narrative that is happening by which we can study this. This is exactly what they did. So the society itself was formulated in a way, whether we are looking at the Varnashrama Dharma or the Varna Dharma, or most important, the Purushartha Dharma, Dharma Artha Kama Moksha, it was largely so that the individual follows this particular path. And how was that understood? It was understood through the entire system of education that existed, which was based on Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana. So the space of science, of Vijnana Shastra that existed, had various disciplines. And some of those various disciplines could be Rasayana, it could be Vanaspati Shastra, which was basically botany, And of course, Ayurveda. It was the art and architecture, which was Vastu Shastra. It was Rasi Vidya, which is mathematics. All of that was blended in this entire discourse. What would be the learning that we get? The learning that we get through the source study is the importance that was given to sustainability. Sustainability was very important because they used a very, very strong word, 3 letters, very simple. We just use it, but it's very profound. They said Rina. Rina basically means debt. What is debt? That if you're taking something from the society, if you're taking something from the environment, it is a debt. And what is the most important thing of the debt? That you need to repay. You need to replenish. So it was Rina. So we are taking something from this universe, but we need to give back. It has to be given back. So the concept of Rina is very important. The Rina could be Deva Rina, Pitra Rina, Atiti Rina. There are various kinds of Devajana. So various kinds of Rinas are there where you need to keep constantly giving back. Plus, there is also another concept which is called as the Panchamahayagnas, which basically implies anything that you do should be like a yagna. Anything that you do should be with sadhana and tapas and total focus. Today we use these statements, right? They say live in the moment. That was a part and parcel of ancient Indian discourses, that live in the moment. Cherish this moment. Why? Because end of the day, you are the reflection of that cosmic energy. And we are dealing with an entire element, which my favorite, I love this particular 2 words. And if there is something that very humbly I'd like to give back to the audience and to the students, is the 2 terms, Aditi and Abhaya. Aditi, limitless. Abhaya, be fearless. Why? Because if you're a reflection of that energy, then you will be Aditi and Abhaya. So, my dear friends, the entire space of science that developed in this country was based on these very profound thoughts. It was not just, okay, I'm making that experiment so that, okay, so I need a project, I need my marks, I need to get a job. No, it was, if I'm doing something like this, how is it going to benefit my journey as an individual to reach that element of Tattvamasi, to get into the space of being a yukti, of controlling my kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, vatsarya, and how is it that I can actually develop the entire society and the ethos at large. The reason why I'm saying that is because ancient Indian society, our society, Rashtra existed. Rashtra was a very important concept. But this, my friends, was based on a very strong and a beautiful hierarchy. And the hierarchy was kulas form gramas, gramas form vis form janapadas, janapadas form rashtra. So the basis for the rashtra was what? Was actually the kula. Kula is the family. Kula is again connected with the entire ashrama system. And what is the ashrama system? The ashrama system was 4 ashramas, brahmacharya, it was grahastha, vanaprastha, as well as sannyasa. And when you're looking at the brahmacharya ashrama, brahmacharya, that entire space of life for at least for about 12 to 13, 14 years, the child was literally, if I have to use the word of Thomas Hardy, far away from the maddening crowd, sitting in the Gurukul or Vedic Charana, under the watchful eyes of the Upadhyaya, under the watchful eyes of the Acharya, learning these various subjects. And these subjects were taught in various sthanas: Brahmasthana, Mahendrasthana, Somasthana, Garudasthana, different departments the child was exposed to, including sthanas like the Rajaniti Sthana, that is politics, Niti Sthana. So a child was exposed to all these parameters. And finally, after so many years of education, practical education, the child became what was called as a graduate. And he or she was given a title called Snataka. Snataka basically means Vidya Snataka, person who's actually had a bath in knowledge. Vidya Snataka.
Yes, madam.
And the child went on to study.
That's very true.
Yes.
And we do promise you to develop more of Aditi and Abhaya, and more children, if they learn this subject, plus more and more children when they get connected to the roots of our country and our ancient civilization, there will be a lot of Aditi, there will be a lot of Abhaya.
Absolutely.
And I would like to mention one more thing to you, like in our junior section, the
Yes.
children, those who will be welcoming and proposing vote of thanks, they are state level NCSC young scientist. So actually speaking, like you have witnessed yesterday also, right
Yes.
from third standard, this seed is sown. Now let us see how the soil will be fertile for them. Like we will be providing the most of the fertile soil to them so that they will bloom properly. They can grow with their own interest. And definitely, madam, there will be a lot of Aditi and Abhaya.
Abhaya. So just to
Over to
conclude
you,
this
Nia.
point,
Yeah.
to conclude this point, so when we're looking at this entire discourse of Vijnana Shastra, we are looking at developing these concepts which existed. Whether, for example, if you're looking at astronomy, we are looking at various writers right from Barahamira to Aryabhatta. So sources study, just astronomy, even if you take that as one topic. So I'm so happy and I'm so grateful that this discourse is happening. And I'm really looking forward to see the presentations. I know time is such a factor. Now, this is a topic that we can go on discussing. It's like an
Go
ocean.
on discussing. Yes, yes.
So, yeah, and I know the students are waiting for their presentations. So, thank you so much, madam, for inviting
Thank you
me.
so much for joining,
this
madam. Thank
opportunity.
you so much. Yes.
Yeah. So, I'll keep watching the presentations and we'll take it
Yes,
from there.
madam. Yes,
Thank you.
madam. Yeah. Over to you, Nia.
Thank you, Mrs. Kanchanmala Chavokso, Madam, and Dr. Radha Kumar for your enlightening words. Continuing with a compilation by the students of junior section. Thank you, Dr. Radha Kumar and Mrs. Kanchanmala Chavokso, Madam, for your enlightening words. Continuing with the theme, Marvels of Ancient India, we now present a compilation by the students of the junior section. Enjoy the wonderful presentation.
A very good morning to all our viewers. I am Arav Uvlekar, the captain of the school for boys for the year 2021-22. I warmly welcome you all to Day 2 of Anweshan, an online program showcasing the work of the young and curious minds of the students of our school. Research has shown that curiosity is one of the core abilities that drives youngsters towards success. Curiosity kindles exploration, and when explorers are mentored by teachers, it takes the shape of experimentation and hands-on experience. New discoveries follow, and this is exactly what makes the world of science and technology so dynamic. There is no better place than the school to experiment. After all, here we are free to falter, to express without any inhibitions, and yet be assured of the guiding hands of our teachers. Today's presentations will be made by the junior section students aged 10 to 12 and senior section students aged 13 to 15. The junior section students have focused on technology and science, giving it a historical perspective. The senior section students have displayed a wide range of topics ranging from finance to environment to science. Once again, I warmly welcome all our viewers and hope you enjoy this journey of intellectual exploration.
Good morning to one and all. On behalf of the entire junior section, I, Rudham Patak, heartily welcome all of you to Anweshan 2021-22. Science is a magic that works, and this year we have decided to explore the magical world of science by traveling back to ancient India and understanding its relevance in today's life. Ancient India was a land of sages, scholars, and scientists. Research has shown that from making the best steel in the world to teaching the world to count, India has been actively contributing to the field of science and technology from time immemorial. India is a pioneer in almost all of the prime aspects of human knowledge, like mathematics, astronomy, physics, chemistry, surgery, architecture, shipbuilding, etc. Keeping this in mind, many students have decided to join this quest and have done extensive research on the field they have chosen and come up with their presentation to enlighten us on the scientific heritage of India. The students have worked on topics ranging from surgical procedures of ancient India, musical instruments, significance of chanting Om, yoga, gears, food habits, lifestyles, and many more. Without further ado, let us commence the program. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the deep dive into the scientific heritage of India. Thank you.
Whenever you think of airplanes, who comes to your mind first? The Wright brothers, right? But do you know that airplanes were already introduced in India? So, to find out more, let's dig in a little deeper. Today, I will unfold ancient India's major aerodynamic inventions. Everybody knows Ravan, a demon from Ramayana. He was the one to capture Goddess Sita and fly her to Sri Lanka. Here comes the point. How did he fly her to Sri Lanka? The aircraft they flew in was Pushpak Viman. The Ramayana describes a Viman as a double-deck cylindrical aircraft with portholes and a dome. They used mercury as fuel, which is called Padmarasam. It is very difficult to use metals as fuel, and the other thing they used was anti-gravity neutralization method. During that time, there were 4 main types of Viman: Rukma, Sundar, Sakun, and Tripur. The Sundar were like rockets and had a silver sheen, and the Tripur were 3-storied. Now Arya will tell us about Rukma Viman.
The Rukma Viman. The Rukma Viman was a manually operated flying machine. It was made up of solid gold. Gold was used in this plane so that it would melt and freeze as fast as aluminium or iron. Hence this plane was named Rukma, which means gold, and Vimana, which means a flying machine. Now let's look at the physical parts and the mechanism of the plane. The plane had a dome on its top which absorbed sun crystals and converted it into electrical energy. Then the electrical energy was passed on to the whole plane with the help of these wires. Then there were electromagnets at the bottom which attracted as anchors to the plane. When these electromagnets were charged, they were attracted to the magnetic field of the earth and anchored the plane against the strong winds. Then there were 2 propellers at the top and 3 propellers at the front. The upper 2 propellers sucked the air in and pushed it down, which created a lift force which made the plane to fly up. The 3 propellers at the front gave direction to the plane. At last, the main cockpit was on the first floor which operated the plane. This is the Rukma Viman.
Is this technology still used?
Yes, this technology is used in the current times. NASA and SpaceX use the same shape as the Rukma Viman in their Dragon spacecraft mission. In this way, the ancient Indian aerodynamics will be an inspiration for future space inventions.
Seven wonders of the world. Yes, Indian architecture is one of the 7 wonders of the world. From ancient South Indian temples to the finest Mughal ruins, Indian architecture is as old as civilization itself. Boasting over 40 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, India is a home to myriad of temples, Baroque and modernistic structures that tell the story of their era. The earliest traces of recognizable building activity in India can be traced back to the settlements of the Indus Valley. From temples and caves to Dravidian, Mughal and Sikh architecture, India has seen a variety of architectural styles emerge over the course of its history. Temples occupy a central position in Hindu religion as the house of the deity. The layout of a Hindu temple persuades a geometrical design known as Vastu Purusha Mandala, the name of which is derived of the three vital components of this design, namely Vastu meaning vast or a place of dwelling, Purusha meaning the universal principle, and Mandala meaning circle. The symmetrical but self-repeating model of a Hindu temple demonstrated in the design is derived from primary convictions, traditions, myths, fundamentally and mathematical standards. Indian architecture also shows great influence over Mughal styles. A spectacular achievement of white marble built in Agra by Shah Jahan in memory of his favorite wife. That's right, it's the Taj Mahal. It is one of the universally admired masterpieces of the world. Architecture is more than means of just beautifying buildings. Each style offers a glimpse into the rich history of the region, and when they merge, they give rise to yet another style that only serves to further the idea of the unity that exists initially in diversity.
We all marvel at places of ancient Indian architecture because of their beauty. But have you ever wondered about how they are still relevant to us to this day?
We bet you don't know that many of our beautiful ancient structures help the earth to defeat the climate change. Let's see how. Hawa Mahal, what a beauty! But do you know that the architecture of Hawa Mahal has some special effects? The Venturi effect and the open structure lets the cool breeze into the area due to the Venturi effect, creating an air-conditioned and cool environment. This ingenious feature has in fact been used in modern time buildings like Albert Hall Museum in Jaipur, resulting in low power bills and lesser climate change. Jali architecture was another solution to battle extreme heat in arid climate as well as regulating light. We can see this in ancient structures like Red Fort or as well as in modern buildings.
Another example of ancient Indian architecture is the stepwell. Over 1500 years ago, local Rajasthanis built stepwells called baulis. Baulis are bodies of water surrounded by a descending set of steps. This design was created keeping the hot local climate in mind. It works on the principle of evaporation, creating a cooling environment in the surrounding stepwell. Architect Manit Rastogi has used this ancient Indian architectural science to design the Pole Academy of Fashion in Jaipur by combining modern exterior styling with ancient Bauli architecture. The entire building is raised above the ground. A 4-meter deep pool of water keeps the temperatures low through evaporative cooling without any artificial cooling systems at all. If we use ancient Indian architecture in today's world, we can make more and more eco-friendly and sustainable structures while also ensuring utility and comfort.
Truly a journey from Gurukul to keeping cool.
Hello everyone, welcome to our news channel. Have you all ever wondered what if yoga did not exist? Would that even make a difference? Yes, it would. no one would get the mind-body connection. History of yoga is divided into 4 broad categories. They are as follows. We will be knowing about a few of them in our today's interview. Let's start. Could you brief us a little about classical yoga?
Classical yoga is based on the traditional system of the 8 limbs known as Ashtanga Yoga, as mentioned in the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali. These 8 limbs describe the various techniques that learners can use to discover liberty from the compulsive nature of all the many distinct forms that we experience.
In what way was yoga practiced in the Vedic period?
More than 5,000 years ago, yoga started its journey as an ancient Indian science of healing and exercises passed on by the teachers to the students orally or by physical practice. The earliest of Vedic yoga was completely based on the Vedas and the ancient scriptures of Brahmanism.
Could you tell us what post-classical yoga was?
So, this period was very rich in producing various schools and practices of yoga, such as Vedanta, Hatha, and Tantra yoga. This period in yoga affirms the teachings of Vedanta that there is ultimate unity in everything in the cosmos. Vedanta is the philosophical system based on the teachings of Upanishads. The earlier era saw yogis laying emphasis only on the meditation and contemplations.
What are the changes of yoga in the modern times?
Modern yoga looks at yoga as a physical posture point of view, whereas traditional yoga looks at it as a practice of spiritual self-realization called moksha. Modern yoga starts with an exercise or an asana, whereas traditional yoga may not start with an asana or an exercise or any body.
Wow, that was an amazing answer. It is rightly said by Swami Shivanand that yoga leads us from ignorance to wisdom, from weakness to strength, from imperfection to perfection. So, with that note, ending today's program. Thank you.
Yoga Uchayate, meaning evenness of mind, is known as yoga. With these words, I wish you all a very good morning. Yoga has always been used in ancient India, so does the account of Vedas and Puranas. Nowadays, yoga has taken the form of exercise used in human sciences like anatomy, physiology, and psychology. So let's see some yogic postures and learn their benefits. Padmasana, the lotus pose. Benefits of Padmasana: opens up the hips, stretches the ankles and knees, keeps spine straight, helps keep joints and ligaments flexible. Halasana, the plow posture. Benefits of Halasana: strengthen shoulder, abdomen and spine, improves digestive health, improves cardiovascular health. It also reduces belly fat. Hastabadasana, hand to foot pose. Benefits of Hastabadasana: effective to increase height, reduces belly fat and gives flat stomach, cures stomach disorder like constipation, increases blood circulation in the brain. Chakrasana, the wheel pose. Benefits of Chakrasana: improves cardiovascular health, stimulates thyroid and pituitary glands, improves the function of kidneys and liver, relieves stress and anxiety. Yoga, India's gift to the world. Yoga has originated in India 5,000 years ago. Swami Vivekananda was the first Indian monk to introduce yoga to the Western world. The International Yoga Day proposed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at United Nations General Assembly. Benefits of yoga. Yoga helps in improving your posture and prevent pain in your neck and lower back. It helps you in increasing your flexibility. Yoga also reduces stress, anxiety, depression and chronic pain. Yoga also improves our lung function and helps in better sleep. Yoga is the journey of the self to the self and to the self.
I hope you all have recognized the sound. Yes, this is the tabla. Today we are going to see how an ancient instrument like tabla creates melody. Percussion instruments are those which are played by striking with the hand or with a stick or by shaking. The tabla is one such percussion instrument. Instruments that originated in India were mridangam, gattam, dholak, dimdi and many more. In the 14th century, the mridangam was adopted to make a new musical instrument called the pakhwaj. In the 18th century, a musician called Amir Khusro divided the pakhwaj into two parts and he called them a tabla. In the tabla, leather is fitted on its face. The sound gets generated when this leather surface is thumped by fingers or palm. When the leather surface vibrates, the air around it also vibrates. The air layer travels up and it pushes the adjacent layer upwards. The tabla can produce really complex sound patterns. This is possible because of the detailing on its membrane. The membrane is not just a skin, but it also has a black spot in the center called the syahi, which helps in producing a large array of sounds. The syahi is usually black in color, round in shape and is made by a mixture of flour, water and iron filings. The syahi functions by loading a part of the straight skin with weight. In some higher pitched tablas, it has the effect of altering the resonance frequency in some lower order vibrations. The action is a little different in the dagga. The Western instruments are made of sonorous materials. The pitch depends on the tautness of these sonorous materials. This makes the tabla a more melodious instrument in comparison to the Western counterparts, which can only be used to play rhythms. Thank you.
Did you hear that sound? Yes, that sound was an explosion of the Big Bang. When the Big Bang exploded in the universe, there was a sound created. That sound was so loud that it even exists today. That sound came to be known as the cosmic sound Om. It also has vibrations, and it is the first vibration from which other vibrations manifest. Ages, Stone Age. People used these three syllables A, U and Ma to communicate, which resembles the word Om. Nowadays, students should chant Om as it improves their concentration. Adults chant Om to relax themselves.
Om has a potential to cure people with respiratory diseases.
Om is used in pranic healing. It can cure from common cold to cancer, and ISRO has also proven that the sun chants the cosmic sound Om.
Food and family are India's biggest strengths. We see every region and state having their own recipes, spices and cooking techniques. Traditions are so many. The habit of sitting down on the floor and eating to Mother Earth. We eat with our fingers by activating all of the five senses. When we are chanting our prayers, we are offering thankfulness to the God. Rice and dal occupy the most important section. East, West and South eat a lot of it. Rotis, parathas and naans are eaten a lot in North as wheat grows in abundance there.
There are thousands of varieties of pickles and chutney found all across India. The eastern cuisine includes a lot of sweets, rasgulla being the most favored. 50 kilometers, the dialect changes. The food also changes. That's how incredible India is.
The food we eat changes with the climate, and the climate changes with not just the regions but with the seasons as well. In the Indian subcontinent, there are 6 seasons, which are Shishira, Vasanta, Grishma, Varsha, Sharad, and Hemanta. They are called as Ritus. For now, we'll be classifying them as winter, summer, and monsoon. We need to keep our body temperature cool and keep ourselves well hydrated. For that, we drink cold drinks like coconut water and coconut sherbet, and we eat fruits and vegetables that have a lot of water content like tomatoes and cucumbers. During the monsoon season, we need to eat things that are easy and light to digest and things that help our immune systems, because our immune systems and digestive systems are weakened during this time. We should consume things like ginger and garlic and honey. In winter, we eat things that are heavy and give a lot of heat and energy because we need to increase our body temperature. Some of them are Gurkoi, Jaggery, Tirgu and grassroots.
That is the science behind Indian food traditions.
And this is the food we eat according to different climatic conditions.
And this is India on your plate.
Today, I'm going to tell you about the science of wheel in ancient world. Imagine a world without wheels. We would have to find an alternative way to move our vehicles around. Our steering wheels would likely be steering squares, and we wouldn't even be able to fly to our destinations in the same way anymore. The wheel is considered to be one of the oldest and most important inventions in the world. The origins of the wheel can be traced back to ancient Mesopotamia in the 5th millennium BC, where it was first used as a potter's wheel. Evidence of the wheel can also be found in ancient India and ancient China. The wheel has changed the way we do everything. From transportation such as bikes, trains and automobiles to how we work such as machines at home and factories. We have significantly improved our quality of life throughout the ages. The next stage of evolution of wheel was transmission of rotation movement from one point to another. This began with the usage of pulley and ropes. Modern way of transmission of rotation movement is gears. The early ways of gears were made of sticks and wheel. This evolution further helped mankind to automate movements by using wind energy such as windmills. Wheels also brought about a lot of simplification in the way we calculated our fields. A water wheel is one such example. This was the early method used by farmers for raising water from a river to a higher level, so that it can then flow by gravity via a duct to the nearby farms and villages and cultivate land for irrigation. These water lifting wheels were earlier rotated by animals and men. As the wheel evolved and mankind understood the way to transmit mechanical power from one point to another, this task was simplified. Mankind found power transmission using pulleys or very early form of gears to transmit power from windmill to this wheel. The water wheel is also referred to as Nadia wheel. Here I have a small model demonstrating the usage of wheel in ancient times. This is a water wheel which lifts water from the river to a higher level so that it then flows via a duct to the nearby farms and villages. These water wheels were later connected to the pulleys by ropes, and the pulleys were connected to the windmill. As the wind rotated the windmill, the pulleys connected to the windmill rotated the pulley below, and the pulley was connected to the water wheel. This eliminated the hard work required by men and animals to rotate the wheel. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Today we will be talking about gears and how they worked in the ancient Indian times. Though the term may sound a little complicated, just relax. We will be explaining each and everything to you in detail. Just grab a book or a pen in case you need to note down anything important. So why waste time? Let's get started.
A gear basically is a rotating circular machine part having cut teeth or inserted teeth which mesh with another tooth part to transmit torque and speed.
Here we can see gear carvings in the ancient Indian temple of Hoysaleshwara. This temple was made in the 12th century and is dedicated to Lord Shiva. The carvings in this temple was made by King Vishnuvardhana over a period of 30 years from 1120 BCE. Here you can see a very strange device in the hands of a god called Masana Bhairava, which is in the same temple. This clearly represents a type of gear mechanism called planetary gears. The outer gear has 32 teeth and the inner gear has exactly the half number of teeth, which is 16, which is precisely how we use reduction gears today. If this was just an imaginary tool, how could the ancient sculptors come up with this gear ratio of 2:1?
Here we can see Lord Ram with his arrow that he uses for archery. Look at these bows. There are wheels strategically placed on both ends of the bow. We can see how we use wheels and cams on the bows. We call them compound bows. Believe it or not, they are not wheels, they are gears. If we look closely, we can see the teeth of the gear wheel. There is a gear mechanism attached to the bow, meaning gears have a very far off history as it is proved by these sculptures and carvings. This is a very advanced ancient technology because today's bows don't even use this technology. And here you can see something quite extraordinary. In a dark corner on one of these walls, we can see this amazing carving of a man riding a bicycle. Historians tell us that this bicycle was invented in the 1800s, just 200 years ago. But how was this carved in the ancient temple, which is about 2000 years old? Meaning, gear system existed back then too. Can you imagine? This bicycle has wheels and gears, both. This is not an European, but an Indian, as you can see from the mustache on the man.
A gear is used in our daily life without us realizing it. Gears are used in so many things today, like wall clocks, cars, bicycles, drills, etc.
Have you ever wondered how people in ancient times used their cosmetics? The answer to your question will be explained to you now. Sit back and enjoy. The eyes are the most sensitive, delicate and important organ of our body. By regular use of chemicals in the name of kajal, we ruin our skin glow and our eyesight too. So let me show you how to make a kajal at home using the things that are easily available. Come on! Crush some almonds, roll almond and ajwain in cotton. Put oil in diya and immerse the cotton. Light it and close it with the lid. Now scrape the residue out of the plate and mix it with castor oil.
Chapped lips, besides being painful, also spoil the beauty of the face. I am going to be making a lip balm used in ancient times. For this recipe, you will be needing coconut oil, strawberries, mortar and pestle, and a lip balm container. First, we are going to juice up our strawberries. Now, I'm going to be adding a little bit of coconut oil. And now mix it properly for about 1 minute.
Is to cleanse faces. The method to make one is add some curd to basin, gram flour and a few drops of lemon. Now mix them together and apply it to your face before bathing instead of face wash. Let me apply it on my face and show you its effects.
I would like to inform you about the cure for acne and blackheads. Take coriander leaves and make a juice out of it. Take a pinch of turmeric powder and mix it. Apply this to your acne and blackheads. Leave this overnight and wash it off gently in the morning. Coriander leaves have antimicrobial and antifungal properties.
I've seen some ways how ancient people use their cosmetics. Did you know the cosmetics we use are filled with harmful chemicals and harm our skin?
But if we use these methods, they will not only make us look beautiful but also will not harm our skin. Thank you.
If we flip through the pages of India's illustrious history, the beauty of Indian queens finds a well-deserved mention.
Their main feature was their thin, long and lustrous hair.
I wonder what was the secret of this enchanting beauty.
We have invented a time machine. Let us go in and explore how oil was made in ancient India.
Here are the ingredients. Brahmi or copa monii. It makes hair lustrous and glossy. Pachora, Edichium spiccatum. It strengthens and shines the hair. Agarmotha, Cyprus rotundus. It improves hair texture, adds shine and stimulates hair growth. Vala, Vetiveria zizanoides. It improves blood circulation in the hair follicle. Jaswanda, Hibiscus rosa sinensis, has a very high amount of mucilage which acts as a natural conditioner. Amla, Phyllanthus emblica. It is very high in antioxidant. It prevents from graying of hair.
We have taken coconut oil into this vessel. We have measured each of the dry ingredients which weigh up to 12 grams. Now we will add them to the pot. We have now kept the oil for boiling. We will stir it every 5 minutes until the oil boils and there are bubbles on the top. It is 10 minutes now since we have kept the oil boiling. Let me dip the wick in it and check if the oil is ready. Oh, it is burning efficiently now. That surely means that the oil is ready.
I am now pouring the ready oil into the bottle.
Uses of this hair oil are prevents hair fall, hair damages, grey hairing, helps to maintain a healthy scalp, helps to keep your mind calm, also used for treating sleeplessness.
We conducted a test on 5 subjects to see how our hair oil worked.
This graph shows the ratings of the 5 subjects at the scale of 1 to 5.
What all products did the women use to make cosmetics during the ancient times? I am sure this question will be pondering in your mind.
Cosmetics can be defined as a chemical compound. But do you know why did women put cosmetics during the ancient period?
Makeup was not only to enhance beauty, but it was also to worship the deity. Now, we will talk about the cosmetics made during the ancient period.
Lipstick. It was prepared by chewing betel leaves. They used a substance known as katha. The katha has a red pigment which imparts the red color on the lips.
Oil. It was made using natural products like coconuts and nuts. It gives our hair strength, smoothness, shininess and softness.
Bindi. The area between the eyebrows is said to be the seat of concealed wisdom. It retains energy and concentration, and it represents the third eye. Perfume. Nice scents were associated with godliness. They were prepared using honey, berries, and flowers.
Now you can see that I have applied Multani Mitti, a great source for nourishing our skin. I have applied it for a few minutes and you can see the results. She has applied Basin, a cleansing agent for our skin, and it helps to fight with acne. You can see the results on her face.
Now, let's see some DIY products which are better than the harmful products. Lip balm. It is made using beeswax, cocoa butter, and beetroot. Lotion. Prepared using beeswax, cocoa butter, and some flowers for fragrance. Liquid soap. Made using soap base and flowers.
Now we understood that filters are great, but original is better.
Do you know this is Pali language? Pali is a language which was spoken by the common people in ancient India. Speaking of ancient India, let's now know about its practices, lifestyles, and science and many of their customs. So, without wasting a second, let's visit ancient India.
Lifestyle is the way in which a person lives.
The coronavirus pandemic has made us all super concerned about our hygiene, but our hygiene has been promoted in the Indian culture since ages. Ayurvedic herbs are used to get cured, and modern doctors prefer sitting cross-legged and eating, so it is very important to maintain a healthy diet.
The difference between modern and ancient lifestyle of India. The ancient Indian lifestyle has a number of advantages and disadvantages too, which include less developed vaccines and medicines. The modern lifestyle has led to hundreds of people's lives being saved by the new developments.
Morning. When we wake up around 4 to 5 am, we feel more energetic. Yoga, Surya Namaskar, it reduces weight.
Sattvic food is very important for a balanced diet. Sattvic food means healthy food without garlic, onion and veg. Do you know black pepper was first discovered in India, so trading black pepper and other goods was an important job in ancient India.
People in ancient India mostly wore cotton clothes. The bangles and the wrists are in constant friction, which leads to an increase in the blood circulation level. Ancient India ornaments, and these are the modern India ornaments.
Importance: Dhoops. Dhoops reduces stress and anxiety. Cow dung. Cow dung is the undigested residue of plant matter. This matter is rich in minerals.
Ghee is rich fat-soluble vitamins like vitamins A, E and D. Cow urine is used in Ayurvedic treatment of many diseases as well as serious diseases like cough and cancer. Tulsi was used in traditional folk medicine for immune and respiratory support.
Ancient India was a very fascinating period in India. We hope you got a great learning outcome. Soti thuyam hotu.
Why do we do what we do? Have you ever wondered why we follow certain traditions when we celebrate? The reasons have been unknown to us, but that changes now.
We will present the logical reasoning behind the traditions followed during 3 of the most famous and enjoyable festivals celebrated in India. Let's begin!
When Ganesh Chaturthi is around the corner, don't we all get excited? Especially about eating modaks? Well, have you ever wondered why our ancestors started eating modaks during Ganesh Chaturthi? It's not just because Lord Ganesh loves them and so do we, but it's also because they're healthy. Coconut boosts our metabolism. It increases good cholesterol and helps to fight monsoon bacteria. Jaggery helps to fight off cold and flu. It detoxifies our liver and activates digestive enzymes. And steaming helps to retain 90% of antioxidants. Isn't it so healthy?
Don't you all love the graceful yet fun dance of Garba? But why did our ancestors start dancing in the first place? The scientific reason is because dancing releases endorphins and improves mental health and heart rate. The endorphins make you happy, and thus dancing helps to spread feelings of happiness. Think about it. You can never feel upset or sad when you are dancing.
Have you ever wondered why we light diyas on Diwali? Well, the earth's most dangerous animal is a mosquito, and about 70 lakh people die due to malaria per year in India. When Diwali comes, the temperature is low and humid, which is the time when the insects come. So, to drive away the insects, our ancestors used to light diyas using panch deepak oil, which is basically a mixture of
cow ghee, manua oil, neem oil, castor oil and sesame oil. It's that simple.
The next time you light a diya or bite into a delicious modak or dance garba with your friends, remember that everything we do has a scientific reason behind it.
What is the time right now? Before you check your phone or watch, stop. Because we are here to learn about sundials, the clocks of the ancient times. Did you know that the Jantar Mantar in Jaipur is the largest sundial in the world? It was constructed by Maharaja Jai Singh between the years of 1724 and 1735. Sundials were used till the 19th century to reset mechanical clocks. To make a sundial, we will be needing a canvas or wooden board, a cardboard, scissors, glue, a sketch pen, scale, paints or colors, and a protractor. So let's begin. First, we need to make a triangle cut out of cardboard so that it looks like this. Make sure that one angle of this triangle is equal to the latitude of your city or town. For example, I have cut out this cardboard so that it is exactly 19 degrees, which is the latitude of Thane. Make sure that one of the other angles is 90 degrees or a right angle. Now, stick your triangle on the canvas or the wooden board. Remember that the latitude should be facing south and the right angle should be facing upward. Now, I will be demonstrating the calibration using a torch. At 9 am in the morning, check the shadow on this side. 9 am, 10 am, 11 am, 12, 1 pm, 2 pm, 3 pm, 4 pm, 5 pm and 6 pm. Now you can keep your sundial out in the open and check the time. Thank you.
Stone implements used in ancient times are still used today in our kitchen. Millstone, also called as jata, is basically two round stones fitted on top of each other with an inlet into. These two stones of the right shape are rubbed together where the wheat or any grains are poured in from top and the flour or powder emerges from the grinding surface. This mechanism is still used in modern times in the machines at the flour mill shops. These are the examples what we pour in the millstone. Rice powder, gram powder. Next is the grinding stone, which is commonly known as silbatta or pata vermenta. Is made of the pestle and mortar of undressed stone used for pounding small quantities of dry spices or wet spices paste. Examples are curry leaves and green chili paste. Next is mortar and pestle, also known as khalbatta. It is again made of stone used for crushing spices, ginger, turmeric, chilies, etc. In modern times, it is also available in metals also. Dry chilies, examples are dry chilies to chili powder, elaichi to elaichi powder. Now, let us see the purpose of the stone mill. Neolithic and Upper Paleolithic people used millstones to grind nuts, rhizomes and other vegetable and fruit products for consumption. All these stone implements also have their own advantages and disadvantages. Advantages: physical workout, no electricity dependency or electric bill, low cost, low maintenance, long life and durability. Now the disadvantages: slow work, less production, physical tasking when the quantity is more, demand routine cleanliness, Effects of weathering of moss when monsoon. All these monolithic tools made of stone, though have got shifted to the loft and stores, but still, today many homes use these for preparing food. Thus, these Indian ancient inventions are still in use in our kitchens. Thank you.
Namaste. We all have experienced or witnessed stress, anxiety, tensions, physical or mental fatigue at least once in our lives. What if we had methods to overcome all these? Maybe we had it all along? Excuse me, I'm very sorry to disturb you. What are you doing? I was doing an ancient Indian meditation. Oh, but I don't know. What is ancient Indian meditation? Can you tell me? I would be delighted to tell you. Meditations in ancient India is referred to as bhavana or dhyana, meaning a mental calmness. Through meditation, we are able to calm our mind, and when our mind is peaceful, we are free from worries and mental discomfort. Various types of techniques are practiced in meditations by people, such as mindfulness or focusing the mind on a particular object, thought or activity to train attention and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm and stable state. Oh yes, now I remembered that I had come across different types of meditation. Mindfulness meditation, Vipassana meditation, loving kindness meditation, guided meditation, chakra meditation and yoga meditation. I know more about mindfulness meditation. Can I share it with you? Yes, please. Mindfulness meditation is a mental training practice that teaches you to slow down your racing thought, let go of negativity, and calm both your mind and body. Mindfulness meditation can relieve anxiety, stress, treat heart diseases, low blood pressure, improve sleep, and even improve mental health. Yes, you are right. Now you understand what is meditation and its benefits? Yes, thank you. So now we know how much ancient Indian meditation can help us immensely and positively in our lives. Dhanyavad!
Now you know the elixir of life, restoring scientific heritage of India. Ayurveda is medicinal division of Vedas. Braham Vakya Janardana means Vedas have initiated from Brahma's mouth. The ancient scriptures of Ayurveda consider cow urine to be elixir of life. It's one of the 5 contents of Panchagavya Chikitsa. Cow urine is a divine medicine and is used for treatment of cancer, arthritis, heart disease, diabetes, asthma, autoimmune disorders, etc. It is also an excellent bioenhancer. Cow urine is proficient of treating many incurable diseases and has been used abundantly in Ayurvedic preparations in prehistoric holy texts. There is patent in US on benefits of cow urine to treat cancer-like diseases. Kamadhenu is worshipped as sacred animal by Hindus. As rightly said, Gavyam Pavitram Charasenam Patyam Chridayam Balabudam. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my experiment is on conversion of cow dung to biogas. In ancient times, some rural areas where cow as a cattle plays an extremely important role and generate 9 to 15 kg of dungs per day. Villagers use cow and firewood for cooking purpose, which takes a long hours to cook. Or it is also used in plastering of walls and floors for providing insulation during the summer. Some villagers discard dung as they feel it is act of source of pollution. Friends, you know cow dung plays an important role in village economy. Studies says cow dung can be recycled and used as biogas. The dung that we get from the cattle is collected in the mixing tank. Sufficient water is added till homogeneous slurry is formed. The slurry is fermented inside the mixing tank. The biogas is produced through the bacterial action. The biogas gets collected in a gas holder, which holds the gas until the time of consumption. The gas pipeline carries the gas to the point of utilization such as stove or lamp. Strain mean recovered from cow dung is used in farm as fertilizer to grow the plants. Biogas which have been obtained will now be used to lit up the stove. Biogas is an eco-friendly fuel which keeps the environment clean. No open heat of dung that attract flies which spread infection. Thank you.
What do you think when you hear the word surgery? You may think that surgeries have developed in the modern world, but that is not true. Many surgeries were done in India a long time ago and have been included in ancient medical texts. India was very advanced in various fields like medicine, mathematics, astronomy, and even surgery. The pioneer in the field of surgery was the great physician, philosopher, and teacher Acharya Shushruta. He was also known as the father of surgery. He was the first person to introduce plastic surgery for the reconstruction of nose defects, as ancient Indian punishments included cutting off a person's nose.
Sushruta used to do the free graft rhinoplasty as follows. The portion of the nose to be covered was first measured with a leaf. Then a piece of skin of the required size was dissected from the living skin of the cheek and turned back to cover the nose. Sushruta carried out many difficult and intricate surgeries. He did surgeries such as removing urinary stones, the cataract surgery, locating bone fractures, and delivering the fetus through an abdominal operation called the Udar Patan, which is now known as the cesarean section. He even used to do the pre-operative care and suggested wine to the patients as an anesthesia.
All of his developments, like his teaching methods, dissection of the human body, surgical practices on vegetables and fabric, etc., were preserved in his book called the Shushrut Samhita, written in 600 BC. Shushruta invented 20 types of sharp instruments and 101 types of blunt instruments which were inspired from parts of animals and birds.
The use of ants for stitching up intestinal wounds was introduced by Sushruta, which has inspired the modern metal surgical staplers. Most of the instruments used like forceps, surgical probes, etc. and the surgeries like rhinoplasty, which we do now, are mostly based on Sushruta Samhita but are modernized with advanced technology. So, from all of this, we can understand that surgical procedures were quite common in ancient India and they were performed accurately and carefully.
Are we aware of humans' premival worship places? Welcome to my presentation, which exhibits the importance, relevance, and implementation of sacred groves in today's lifestyle. Sacred groves are small land areas in primeval forests that some rural communities protect as abodes of deities. With rapid deforestation deforestation, irresponsible agricultural practices, we are growing concrete jungles. There's an urgent need to look back at our ancestors and imbibe sustainable lifestyle practices. There are already successful examples like the Chipko movement, Silent Valley in Kerala, or the Sacred Groves community of Oraval in Tamil Nadu. Maharashtra Nature Park is built on Mumbai's erstwhile garbage dumping ground. While in tightly packed cities, sacred groves may not be feasible, we can implement their role multifold by our informed decisions, correlating and reviving the holistic philosophy behind the groves. They gifted us sacred groves. We could contribute by terrace farming and vertical gardens. Local herb gardens should revive Ajitha Batwa. Worship holy trees as a whole, create bonsais for your annual worships like Vatapurnima or Dasera. City landscapes should flourish with local flora to invite and sustain its very own biodiversity. Our green niches must use our kitchen waste as rich organic manure. With such correlations, let us continue to nurture nature just as our ancestors for a symbiotic living. This is my own little green niche. Where is yours?
Anweshan. Anweshan is research. Anweshan is inquiry. Friends, we have arrived at the juncture where it's time to draw the curtains for the junior section. Before we move ahead to raise the curtains for the senior section, on behalf of the junior section, I, Anushka Nimbalkar from Standard 5G, am indeed honored to propose the vote of thanks.
What we just witnessed was a brief canvas of what our young researchers can do. Well friends, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels had started rolling weeks ago. It has been a wonderful learning experience and I wish to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for the huge participation and success. First of all, a big thanks and pranam to our visionary director, Principal Madam Mrs. Revati Srinivasan for initiating the virtual program.
Despite the prevailing situation, you have ensured that the students do not miss out on any learning opportunities. You are truly our guiding beacon and light, ma'am. We owe everything to you and are proud to be Sulonians. My sincere thanks to our dear chief guest, Dr. Radha Kumar, who took out precious time from her busy schedule and made it convenient to attend this session. I thank our vice principals, Chabukswar Madam and Cabral Madam for their motivation and encouragement to all the participants. My heartfelt thanks to our dear section head, Sangeeta Londe Madam, who has extended her guidance and moral support to all the participants. I sincerely thank all the faculty heads, coordinators and teachers who encouraged us all the way. How can I forget my dear science teachers, our ground zero pillars who have toiled relentlessly behind the scenes, correcting us at every step, thereby ensuring perfection. For providing the technical support, we are grateful to Vaijanti Madam, Head International Programs and Ankit Majithia Sir. Loads of thanks to our dear parents and grandparents for their guidance, blessings and love, who held our hands at every point, making sure that we completed the project on time. My duty will be half done if I don't thank our volunteer tech team of students from Standard 9. Thank you Harsh, Karthik, Ojas, Ruchir and Sanskar for all the support for compiling the final video to share it online. Before I sign off, a quick reminder, do not go away. We have ended the junior section presentation here, but not the program. Here we begin with the senior section presentation. So stay tuned and happy viewing. Thank you.
That was a marvelous presentation by the junior section. Coming up next is a presentation by the senior section who have combined elements of modern reforms, business, and industry along with marvels of ancient India.
Welcome to the final segment of Anweshan, presented by the senior section. Scientific temper leads to process invention. It teaches us to use the expertise of a laboratory to make things that are useful to mankind. This results in the creation of economically viable and purposeful products. Such innovative products fuel entrepreneurship, which is supported by commercially sound strategies. Thus, science promotes entrepreneurship and vice versa. Today, human lifestyles have become highly resource intensive. New ideas teach us to use these resources wisely, creatively, to make life better on this planet. In this segment, we will see the evolution of ideas and how scientific knowledge, with the help of enterprise, has impacted our lives in the past, in the present, and will continue to do so in the future. Over to Aaron Davis for the first presentation.
Asset bubble. Imagine you have a surplus of funds in your hand. You look to invest and find many startups and new ventures around. You invest and then see the asset, such as stocks, bonds, real estates, or commodities, rising at a rapid pace without underlying fundamentals. What is an asset bubble and what is the principle behind this? How is it created? Are stocks, real estates, and bonds in asset bubbles? Are startups, new ventures, and fads a reason for a bubble to be created that eventually bursts?
Hi Vedant, I was going to buy my mother a gold necklace, but the price of gold is too high. Oh, I hate inflation.
I know, but do you know about the gold asset bubble which occurred in USA in 2011?
I have heard about that, but what is asset bubble?
Asset bubble occurs when prices for a particular item rises far above the item's real value. Example include houses, internet stocks, gold. Sooner or later the high prices becomes unstable and they fall dramatically until the item is valued at or even below its true.
Oh, I thought it was an inflation.
No, it was asset bubble. Asset bubble and inflation is different. So basically inflation is referred to as the situation where the price level of the goods and services rise, which leads to decrease in the purchasing power of the economy. Inflation gradually increases, but asset bubble increases rapidly. Inflation can be predicted, but asset bubble cannot be predicted.
But has it ever happened more than once?
Yes, it has happened in 1634. It was called as Tulip Mania. I will tell you more about it. Wait. I will add my friend Riddhi to the call and she will tell you more about it.
Tulip Mania. Tulip Mania is the story of a speculative bubble which took place in the 17th century when Dutch investors purchased tulips, pushing their prices to unprecedented highs. During Tulip Mania, the average price of a single flower exceeded the annual income of a skilled worker and cost more than some houses at the time. the tulip was brought to Europe on trading vessels that sailed from the east. Because of this, it was considered an exotic flower that was also difficult to grow, since it could take years for a single tulip to bloom. During the 1630s, an outbreak of tulip-breaking virus made select flowers even more beautiful by lining petals with multicolored flame-like streaks. A tulip like this was more scarce than a normal tulip, and as a result, prices for these flowers started to rise, and with them, the tulip's popularity. It wasn't long before the tulip became a nationwide sensation, and tulip mania was born. Let's understand more about acid bubble with another example, the dot-com bubble.
Hello, this is Riti.
Hello, this is Ishika, and today we would be discussing about dot-com bubble.
The dot-com bubble, also known as the dot-com boom, the tech bubble and the internet bubble, was a stock market bubble caused by excessive speculation of internet-related companies in the late 1990s, period of massive growth in the use and adoption of internet.
What happened after the dot-com bubble? The dot-com bubble is also referred to as the internet bubble. It refers to the period between 1995 to 2000 when investors pumped money into internet-based startups in the hope that these fledgling companies would soon turn a profit.
Thank you guys for helping me understand the concept of acid bubble.
Pharmacy. Since ancient times, people have depended on traditional medicines to cure, heal, and rejuvenate the population prone to illness. In India, healing relied largely on Ayurveda, homeopathy, and herbal mixtures to treat the sick. With the advent of modern medicine, the use of drugs and surgeries to help and cure the diseased or to solve the problem of the patient has become widely popular. With modern medicines came the side effects to drugs and the need to follow a diet to detox and rejuvenate and to cleanse the body. Are the modern medicines safe? Let us understand the efficacy of modern medicines.
Respected teachers and my dear friends, myself Tanmay from class 9Z.
And me, Prathamesh Kashalkar from class 8L.
And today we are going to present chemistry Anweshan on the topic pharmacy and detoxification after consuming medicines.
Pharmacy is a branch of chemistry that deals with study of medicines and its chemical effects. You know, my grandmother used to make medicines from plants, herbs, and all that. And even with that, it had no side effects.
Yes, mine too. But now medicines are made from natural and artificial chemicals.
Tanmay, do you know the similarities between Ayurveda and modern day pharmacy? It is that various metals such as iron, zinc, sodium, they are still used today.
Prathamesh, let me tell you something about antibiotics. An antibiotic is a type of antimicrobial substance active against bacteria. Penicillin. Alexander Fleming discovered a naturally growing substance that could attack certain bacteria. He called this substance penicillin in 1928. This is the general structure of penicillin. It has one beta-lactam ring which has 3 carbon atoms and 1 nitrogen atom. So there are 4 classifications of penicillins which are natural, anti-staphylococcal, extended spectrum and beta inhibitor.
Very interesting, Tanmay. Do you know that modern day pharmacy, it has many side effects because while one chemical tries to readjust the balance, it disturbs the other.
Yes, antibiotics destroy good bacteria as well.
You know, antibiotics also have side effects such as vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, blooding, indigestion, etc.
Yeah, that's why after taking medicines, we need to detox.
Yes, Can you please tell me what is detoxification? But
Detoxification, or detox for short, is the physiological or medicinal removal of toxic substance from a living organism, including the human body, which is mainly carried out by the liver.
thanks Tanmay for letting me know this. You know, my grandmother used to do fasting. I never knew why, but I came to know later on that it gives rest to our organs and it also promotes toxin elimination from our body.
Yeah, fasting is a good way to detox. We should also focus on sleep, as sleeping allows our brain to reorganize and recharge itself.
Yes, so should we drink more water?
Prathamesh, people also take probiotic supplements that are most effective at reducing antibiotic side effects.
Oh, thank you for letting me know this. Also, Tanmay, do you know that fermented foods like yogurt, buttermilk, they too are a great option for detoxification.
Exercise is also a natural way to detox, as it flushes out the lungs and cleans the skin as we work up a sweat.
Yes, like aerobics, yoga, Surya Namaskars, all of this should be our daily routine.
Last but not the least, here is the detox drink, which contains cucumber, lemon, mint and ginger. This is the detox drink.
Evolution of money. Money is a liquid asset used in the settlement of transactions. From the time of barter system to cashless transactions, money has evolved in ways that has made transactions easier for everyone. Money can be transacted through various means, be it through apps or online transactions. With the advent of technology, investing in virtual currency has become a fad. Is it viable?
3, 2, 1.
I don't think I need an introduction. You all know me who I am, where everyone desires for me and wants more of me. People work hard to earn me and make their maximum efforts in saving me. Do you know when did I come in and what was the condition of the economy without me? Let me take you back to the prehistoric times.
Prior to the introduction of money, trade was carried out by barter, which meant goods were exchanged for other goods. It is also known as barter economy or CC economy. The evolution of money has passed through many stages where in some circumstances animals were exchanged for goods. In India, Godhan or cow wealth was accepted as money. Then commodity money came into existence, in which bows, animal skin, tobacco, arrows and shell skins were used as money. Then in a passage of time, people got to know that goods cannot be stored for a longer period of time and lacked uniformity. Therefore, commodity money became metallic money. However, it was found inconvenient to carry gold and silver coins place to place. Then paper money came into existence.
Since my evolution, I've undergone a lot of changes, as you can see now. You are all wondering, how am I made? Who gave the order to make me? I am directly controlled by the Reserve Bank of India, RBI. The word rupee has been derived from the Sanskrit word rupayan, meaning a silver coin. Who is the man behind the rupee symbol? It's Uday Kumar. And what are coins made up of? Coins are made of metal. Most coins with some combination of copper, zinc and nickel. There are 4 mints in the country that produce coins for the use of public. They are in Mumbai, Kolkata, Hyderabad and Noida. And what are currency made up of? Currency are made up of pulp of cotton and balsam with special dyes which give resilience, durability with quality to resist wear and tear. India has currently 4 printing press which are in Nasik, Devas, Mysore and Salboni. Prime Minister Narendra Modi released the 125 rupee coin to mark the 125th birth anniversary of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. Do you know about monetary policy? Monetary policy is a set of actions available for nation's central bank to achieve sustainable economic growth by adjusting the money supply. Some monetary policy examples include buying or selling government securities through open market operations, changing the discount rate offered to member banks, altering the reserve requirement of how much money banks must have on hand that's not already spoken for through loans. There was a phase in my life when I was demonetized to control the flow of money in this economy. This was between 8th November 2016 and ended on 30th December, Friday 2016. So what do we mean by demonetization? Demonetization is the act of stripping the currency unit of its status as legal tender. It occurs whenever there is a change in the national currency. Money is not only evolved in physical appearance but also in value. What is the future of money? The future of money is cashless systems like Paytm, PhonePe, debit card, credit card and Bitcoin.
Cryptocurrency. Future of currency would be in the form of cryptocurrency, which is a type of digital currency that generally only exists electronically. There is no physical coin or bill unless you use a service that allows you to cash in cryptocurrency for a physical token. It was created in the wake of 2008 global financial crisis as a way for the people to control their money themselves without having to rely on companies, banks or governments and their fees and controls.
I'm sure you have learned a lot about me and will use me judiciously.
Goods and Services Tax (GST). The GST is an indirect tax or consumption tax used in India on the supply of goods and services. The tax rates, rules and regulations are governed by the GST Council, which consists of the finance ministers of the central government and all the states. The GST is meant to replace a slew of indirect taxes with a federated tax and is therefore expected to reshape the country's economy. The positive outcomes of the GST include saving travel time in interstate movement, simple and easy online procedure, and it has converted India into a unified market of 1.3 billion citizens.
Hello everyone, I am Mr. David, a robotic engineer. I am going to be feeding in data into my robot, Sophie, about GST that is introduced in India.
Hi, it's Ginny. I'm Mr. David's assistant.
And I'm Sophie, a humanoid. And today I'm going to learn something new.
Sure, Sophie, I will tell you about GST, which is introduced in India today on 1st July 2017.
Sophie, do you know anything about the GST already?
I do not know what GST is. Does it mean good night, sweet dreams, and take care?
Good one, Sophie. India has come up with one nation, one tax. Now, almost all indirect taxes are merged into one indirect tax, that is GST.
What does GST stand for?
The GST, standing for the Goods and Service Tax, is a comprehensive tax levied at prescribed rates of 0%, 5%, 12%, 18% and 28% on goods and services sold domestically for consumption.
I heard you saying an indirect tax. Why is it called an indirect tax?
I can help you with that. It is an indirect tax as it is not directly paid by the taxpayer, that is by the consumer to the government. Rather, it is paid by the customer to the shopkeeper or seller and then by the seller to the government. That is indirectly, you see.
Thank you, Mr. David and Ginny.
Sophie, do you know when the taxation started and who introduced it?
Yes, I do. In 1860, tax was first introduced in India by Sir James Wilson in order to meet the losses faced and to fund government expenditure. Ginny, what is done by the taxes collected by the government?
Sophie, tax is the money that we the citizens have to pay to the government. The government uses it to pay for military, defense and police. It also pays for the services they provide us like healthcare and education.
Oh, got it. Thus, taxes paid by the taxpayer are for the welfare of the citizens on the whole and also to increase the standard of living.
You are right.
You fed into my system that GST has replaced the earlier taxes. So what were the taxes prevalent before GST?
Oh, there are many taxes. Taxes such as central excise duty, cess, value added tax and central sales tax.
Oh yes, I know these. Mr. David, are there any categories in GST?
Yes. There are 3 categories of GST: CGST, SGST and IGST. CGST is the Central Goods and Service Tax, while the SGST is the State Goods and Service Tax.
CGST is collected by the central government, while the SGST is collected by the state government. Both of these taxes are collected on sale of goods or services or both within the state, that is, the intrastate supply or sale.
IGST is the Integrated Goods and Service Tax. It is levied on supply of goods and or services or both outside the state, that is interstate supply or sale. Example, a sale made from Kolkata, West Bengal to Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh is an interstate sale.
According to my data, if a GST of 12% is levied on a good or a service, the SGST would be of 6% and the CGST would be of the other 6% of the value of the sale.
I am glad you understood everything we taught you today.
I am sure that you too have learned about GST. After all, you all are as smart as I am.
Light bulb. Light is good from whatever lamp it shines. Have you ever wondered how life would have been without this illuminating source of energy in our homes, surroundings and neighborhood? The light bulb. Well, since time immemorial, the light bulb has been instrumental in dispelling darkness all around us. It has undergone a whole lot of mechanical changes from being an incandescent lamp to the top-end LEDs in recent times. This radiant bulb has been a source of joy and splendor to the people in villages and cities alike. Remember how happy we felt when the light bulb glowed after a long haul of power failure? Let us take a look at the origin of this inimitable discovery, the light bulb.
More than 150 years ago, inventors began working on a bright idea that would have a dramatic impact on how we use energy in our homes and offices. The seemingly small object that sheds light in our houses every day has a long and vast history.
In 1802, Sir Humphrey Davy invented the first ever light bulb. After him, Thomas Edison created another light bulb and popularized it in 1879. Mostly, Thomas Edison is credited for the invention of light bulb. After that, several other scientists decided to choose the same idea and create different types of light bulbs. Just like Joseph Swan, 1880 practical bulb, the Alexander Lodogin, 1873 filament bulb, James Bowman Lindsay, 1835 demonstrated a constant electric light. Like all great inventions, the light bulb cannot be just credited to one inventor. It was a series of small improvements on the ideas of previous inventors that have led to the light bulb we use in our house today.
In 1835, the first constant electric light was demonstrated, and for the next 40 years, scientists around the world worked on the incandescent lamp, tinkering with the filament, which is the part of the bulb that produces light when heated by an electric current, and the bulb's atmosphere, whether the air is vacuumed out of the bulb or is it filled with an inert gas, preventing the filament from oxidizing and burning out. These early bulbs had extremely short lifespans and were too expensive to produce or used too much energy. When Edison and his researchers at Menlo Park came onto the lighting scene, they focused on improving the filament, first testing carbon, then platinum, before returning to a carbon filament. By October 1879, Edison's team had produced a light bulb with a carbonized filament, an uncoated cotton thread that could last for 14.5 hours. They continued to experiment with the filament until settling on one made from bamboo that gave Edison's lamp a lifetime for up to 1,200 hours. This filament became a standard for the Edison bulb for the next 10 years.
Edison also made other improvements to the light bulb, including creating a better vacuum pump to fully remove the air from the bulb and developing the Edison screw, what is now the standard socket fitting for light bulb. Over the next 40 years, scientists would continue their research on how to make improvements to the creation Thomas Edison initiated and would lead to the discovery of tungsten filaments, which is a primary material used in incandescent bulbs till date. It was made by European inventors in 1904. These new tungsten filament bulbs lasted longer and had a brighter light compared to the carbon filament bulbs. Old light bulbs versus new light bulbs. In 2007, the UK government announced that the incandescent bulb would be phased out by 2011, and shortly afterwards, all member states of the EU agreed to a progressive phase-out of incandescent light bulbs by 2012. The reason behind this was to move towards more energy-efficient lighting alternatives. Even though this has been taking place over a number of years, many people are still confused with what sort of light bulb to buy, especially those of us that grew up with the old type of bulbs. The advantages of the new energy-efficient light bulbs such as halogen, incandescents, compact fluorescent lamps, and light-emitting diodes (LEDs) have over the traditional incandescent are that they can last anything from 3 to 25 times longer and typically use from 25% to 80% less energy than traditional incandescents. This means they won't need replacing as often, and that will save your money.
Human evolution. Human evolution is the evolutionary process within the history of primates that led to the emergence of the Homo sapiens as a distinct species of the hominid family, which includes the great apes. What will humans look like in a million years? Can technology implant chips in human brains? Will our descendants be cyborgs with high-tech machine implants able to regrow limbs and have cameras for eyes like something out of a science fiction novel? Well, that is something that lies nascent in the womb of future.
Everyone, today we'll talk about advancement of mankind. Before moving forward, we must know what is evolution. Evolution is defined as a development of an organism in the course of time through a gradual sequence of changes from a simple to a more complex state. There are two types of evolution: inorganic evolution and organic evolution. Now let us see different stages of human evolution. First were the Dryopithecus. They were the common ancestors of man and apes. Dryopithecus then evolved in Ramapithecus, which is on direct line of human evolution. Then came Australopithecus, which were the first ape man, man with an ape brain. Then came Homo habilis, toolmaker or handyman. Then came the Homo erectus, the erect man, first true man. Then came the Neanderthal man, which had the cranial capacity of 1400 cc. After that were the modern man. It includes all the human beings existing today on the earth with cranial capacity of 1350 cc. Future evolution. Modern scientists are of the opinion that human evolution is over. The main reason behind this is that human beings are becoming more and more alike, and human evolution relies on a difference in our genes and our ability to pass on these genetic differences. But evolution cannot stop completely. It is just that it may take millions of years for humans to evolve further. Most of the predictions for future appearance of humans are based on past trends or on the fanciful idea that body parts used more frequently will get larger or those that are used less will shrink. Will technology replace our need for strong limbs? So future human would have short or thin legs due to too much screen time? Would we have large popped out eyes and a pen poster with a bent neck? What about a thumb? Will it become oversized and even more flexible? How will our teeth be as future food will be easier to chew, or we would just take supplements for nutrition? Humans may set up isolated colonies on Moon or Mars or some other planet. Due to changes in gravity, sun exposure, human evolution will definitely take place, affecting body shape, size, and skin color. Cloning or artificial selection has continued to intrigue scientists right from the day Dolly the sheep was the first mammal to be cloned. Sometimes in the distant future, human cloning might become feasible and genetically engineered babies would be possible. However, the offspring may show signs of premature aging and severe genetic mutations and genetic mistakes may result in evolution of new humans. Another possibility is that humans will evolve through use of science and engineering. All this clearly indicates that evolution is an ongoing process and the only constant in universe is change.
Rainwater harvesting in Thane. Breaking news. Thane to arrest rainwater to fight scarcity. To beat water scarcity in the city, residents have planned to come up with various conservation methods, like a mandatory borewell in each society, rain harvesting project, construction of tanks in hilly areas to arrest rainwater. As with each passing year, water scarcity becomes a burning issue in Thane. Can the ancient talas of the lake city be revived? Thane district is beautifully landscaped with a range of hills and pristine valleys, which are subject to sufficient rainfall each year. Will the natural source of water be conserved? How can we save Thane?
The Thane district forms a part of western slopes of Sahyadri hill ranges. These hill ranges pass through the eastern part of the district. Thus, the major part of the district constitutes rugged and uneven topography, categorized by high hills and steep valleys. Physiographically, the district can be divided into two broad parts, the undulating hilly tracts in the east and the coastal plain in the west. The area is drained by innumerable streams and tributaries of the two main rivers, the Ulhas and the Vaitarna. Thane city is situated on the western banks of the Thane Creek with Parsik Hills on the east and the Ur Hills on the west. Deccan trap basalt of Upper Cretaceous and Lower Eocene age is a major rock type covering about 80% of the district.
Due to the inherent hilly terrain of the Sahyadri range, most of the forts in Maharashtra were constructed on hills, hence also called as Giridurg. The high altitudes made the forts daunting for the enemy. The Ghodbandha fort, built in European architectural style, is totally made of basalt rock cut from the hill itself.
Rainwater harvesting on Giridurg. An interesting feature of all hill forts, including Ghodbandha Fort, were the Panachatakya or water tanks, which provided water to the occupants of the fort. Water needed to be stored efficiently on the fort, considering the impracticality of carrying water to the fort on a daily basis. Thus, a number of water tanks were created to store rainwater. These forts represent a classic example of ancient ingenuity in designing rainwater harvesting structures based on the topography and rock structure of the area. In modern times, these water tanks are left unused and in a dilapidated condition. But if they can be restored, they can store rainwater, which will be highly useful for the nearby villages, tribals, and migrant communities.
City of Lakes. Thane is nestled between the Urals on the west and the creek on the east. Many lakes were formed in the area due to its naturally undulating topography. The hard basalt rock structure also favored the formation of these lakes. Thane region receives about 2000 mm of annual rainfall. The surface depressions were used to store rainwater due to the absence of a river course nearby. Realizing the importance of this copious amount of rainfall that occurred during the monsoon season, the rulers started constructing artificial lakes and earth structures to store rainwater.
These lakes also help to recharge the groundwater in the weathered basalt and raise the water table in their vicinity. Each of these lakes has significant cultural and social significance, and the city practically grew around these lakes. However, with advancements in water supply systems, the city is no more dependent on these lakes for its water supply. Due to the demands of urbanization, development has crept up to the banks of these lakes, converting the once sprawling water bodies into mere tanks prone to siltation, eutrophication, and degradation. Thus, a comprehensive restoration program needs to be implemented to revive these freshwater ecosystems. Most of the idols made during festivals are made of plaster of Paris. The colors contain toxic compounds like mercury, cadmium, and lead. Instead, artificial ponds in the lake vicinity can be used for idol immersion and eco-friendly idols made from clay can be used.
Rainwater harvesting has been practiced from ancient times, like we saw the tanks constructed in forts and lakes in Thane city. Likewise, traditional rainwater harvesting structures and methods are found elsewhere in India too, like Zing in Ladakh, Baulis in Gangetic Plains, bamboo drip irrigation in Meghalaya, and Johads in central India. The need of the hour is now to apply this ancient water wisdom to our present times. There are numerous streams flowing through the Yeur Hills near Thane city during the monsoons. The water from these overflowing streams can be collected by making bunds across the streams. Taking lessons from the past, we can excavate tanks where the rainwater can be collected. This will help in the following ways. This collected rainwater could be useful for the villages located in the Yeur Hills, especially during the summer season. The excavated tanks can serve as a water hole for wild animals. This will also reduce the flooding of streets at the foothills of the Yeur Hills, especially near the Upwan Lake.
Sports injuries. Sports and games enrich the personality of students in multidimensional ways. Camaraderie, cooperation, teamwork, the adrenaline rush, and above all, the spirit to face challenges can all be felt and learnt in the sports arena. While feats are achieved and accolades are won by the sports persons, they are also prone to many injuries while practicing their favorite sport. Timely and effective treatment must be administered to the injured in order to enable them to get back on their feet. The next video coming right up for you categorically demonstrates some of the common sports injuries caused to sports persons and the methods to be adopted and practiced while treating them.
So, most common sports injuries and the first aids. So, we can start with muscle strain. So, what is a muscle strain? It is basically an injury of muscles or tendons caused by overstrain or overstretch of muscles or due to a violent pull on the muscle. So, the muscles that can experience a muscle strain are hamstring strain or quadricep muscle strain, rotator cuff tear, etc. So the causes and symptoms of a muscle strain can be not warming up before your sport activities or any physical activity for that matter, overexertion and fatigue after the training, lack of flexibility, as well as poor training methods. And how can we get to know when we have a muscle strain or when we are experiencing a muscle strain? Swelling around the affected area, knotted up feeling, muscle spasms around the injured site, and pain while moving and stretching the area. So first aid for muscle strains. So the first is protection. So we need to apply soft padding to protect the area from further injury. The second is rest. Avoid all physical activities that cause pain, swelling, or discomfort, but don't avoid all physical activity. Ice the affected area or the swollen area. Compression, it helps to stop the swelling. We can compress the area with an elastic bandage until the swelling stops. And elevation, of course, we have to elevate the injured site above the level of heart, especially at night when the gravity helps reduce the swelling. And the last being referring. So if we are experiencing a muscle strain or something, we need to consult the casualty to a competent doctor as soon as possible.
Apply soft padding to the injured area to avoid further injuries. Compress the area with a compression bandage. Elevate the area above your heart, especially at night. Ice the area 15 to 20 minutes, repeated 2 to 3 hours. And take rest. Avoid the movement that causes pain and discomfort.
Tennis elbow. Tennis elbow is inflammation or in some cases micro tearing of the tendons that join forearm muscle on the outside of the elbow. Occurs on the outside of the elbow and sometimes in the forearm and wrist. Causes and symptoms of tennis elbow. Causes due to repetitive or strenuous activity, banging or knocking your elbow, and symptoms are like pain in the elbow or muscles, swelling and tenderness on the outside of the elbow. First aid for tennis elbow is take over-the-counter medicine such as ibuprofen or aspirin. Apply ice pack for 15 to 20 minutes 3 times a day, and take rest. Avoid the movement that caused the condition, and apply a compression bandage so that the swelling reduces.
Rest your hand, avoiding the movement that caused the condition, compress and wrap it with compression bandage. If you have the condition in your wrist, wrap it with elastic bandage, and you can take over-the-counter medicine which helps reducing the swelling around the area, such as ibuprofen or aspirin. Apply an ice pack around the area 15 to 20 minutes 3 times a day.
Sprained ankle. What is a sprain? A sprain is a stretching or tearing of ligaments, the tuft of fibrous tissue that connect two bones together in your joints. The most common location for sprain is your ankle. How ankle sprain is caused? Weak muscle tendons that cross the ankle joints. It usually occurs as a result of a twisting of ankle ligaments. Walking or exercising on an uneven surface. Landing awkwardly on a surface. Improper footwear. Shoes with no heel support. Weak muscles, slow neuron muscular response. Symptoms of ankle sprain. Signs and symptoms will vary depending on the severity of injury and may include pain, swelling, bruising, limited ability to move the affected joint, hearing or feeling a pop in your joint at the same time of injury, reduced range in motion, skin discoloration may occur, tenderness when your ankle touch the ankle, instability in the ankle. First, we have to expose the wound. Then we have to elevate the wound a little higher. Then apply ice pack for a while as shown in the video. Then we have to apply the painkiller in the wound area. Then apply the crepe bandage as shown in the video.
Modern medicine in the field of sports. Sports medicine, sometimes called sports and exercise medicine, is called a medical specialty that deals with treatment and prevention of injuries related to sports and fitness. A sports medicine specialty team often involves physicians who are trained in sports medicine, as well as orthopedic surgeons, physical therapists, trainers, coaches, and others. The team works together to help patients get back into playing shape as safely and quickly as possible.
Vaccines. A vaccine is a biological preparation that provides an acquired immunity to a particular infectious disease. The administration of vaccines is called vaccination. Vaccination is the most effective method of preventing infectious diseases. A widespread immunity due to vaccination is largely responsible for the worldwide eradication of many life-threatening diseases. Are vaccines a very safe and effective way to fight and eradicate infectious diseases? How effective are the vaccines against the coronavirus? Are we really safe if we are vaccinated?
The world was engulfed in darkness and uncertainty loomed in every corner. Vaccines emerged as a ray of light, strong enough to spread brightness in every nook and cranny. Vaccines can be the shot to a new life. Hello everyone, this is Niyati Rani, and today I'm going to explain you how do the COVID-19 vaccines protect us against this dreadful malady. How did we defeat the deadly smallpox? Well, Edward Jenner in 1796 invented the world's first vaccine, and you guessed it, it was the smallpox vaccine. In this, matter from the pustules of people having cowpox, a far less dangerous virus, was taken and inoculated into healthy people. This successfully immunized the people against smallpox, as smallpox and cowpox were from the same family. We eradicated smallpox. Although this method was effective, it required a lot of time-intensive research and experimentation. It would have been very difficult to develop such a vaccine during a pandemic or epidemic. Then how were the COVID-19 vaccines developed so quickly? Well, scientists had been working for decades to develop a medical technology to develop vaccines faster. This is the mRNA vaccine, which uses the latest technology. mRNA, or messenger ribonucleic acid, is a naturally occurring molecule, which has the protein-producing instructions, which are followed by the protein factories, which are the ribosomes in our cells. In this vaccine, trillions of mRNA molecules are encoded with the instructions to build the spike protein of the coronavirus. They are injected into a nanoparticle made up of lipids. After being injected into our body, the nanoparticle and cell membrane fuse together as they are both made up of lipids, and the mRNA is released into the cell. The ribosome starts translating instructions and builds the coronavirus protein. This doesn't severely affect our body, but it does trigger an immune response. This is also not infectious. Symptoms such as fever and body pain are indications that the vaccine is working and producing valuable antibodies. Every mRNA vaccine roughly has the same list of ingredients, except the mRNA sequence. It does not contain any live viral particles and therefore is safe, reliable, and robust. An important note here is that this cannot even enter our nucleus, let alone change our DNA. Now let's hear Dr. Zora Sarfraz Chaudhry's take on the mRNA vaccine, an internal medicine and infectious diseases physician in the United States of America.
Hi, I'm Dr. Zora Chaudhry, and I'm one of the infectious disease physicians working in the US. Currently, I'm board certified in internal medicine and infectious diseases. I've essentially been working and treating COVID-19 patients since the start of the pandemic in the US. As physicians and scientists, I've been working on different vaccine technologies, and this did not just start today, like not just with the emergence of COVID-19, but this has been going on for many years, including the mRNA technology. All COVID-19 vaccines are currently authorized for use in the US. and they help protect people against COVID-19, including severe illness, which we have learned based on all the clinical trials that have been done. So far, studies have looked at how COVID-19 vaccines work. Initially, they were done in the trial setting, but now since we've had the vaccines available for a while now, so now we're even looking at some real world data, which has shown us that even in real world settings, we're all taking it and we are all responding to it. And so far, all the data has shown very favorable and positive results. Thank you.
Now let's see what Dr. Meghna Tare from BITS Pilani has to say.
Hi, I'm Dr. Meghna Tare from BITS Pilani. I urge all of you to spread the awareness about the safety of the vaccines by the government. They are completely safe. The information provided by Niyati about mRNA vaccines is totally right, and I completely agree with her. Vaccines do reduce our chances of getting severe infections. Please get vaccinated.
In a global pandemic, the entire humanity was united to achieve the same goal.
Whispers of the mangroves. If you have ever spent time by the sea in a tropical place, you have probably noticed distinctive trees that rise from a tangle of roots wriggling out of the mud. These are mangroves. They are remarkably tough. Most live on muddy soil, live in water up to 100 times saltier than most other plants can tolerate. They thrive despite twice daily flooding by ocean tides. Then, why are mangroves disappearing? How do we save the mangrove forest? By limiting human activities?
I am unique. I grow where no other plant can in the oxygen deficit, waterlogged soil of the saline coasts of the world. But I do not give up. I am resilient. I breathe through my roots, who defy the beckoning force of gravity rising above the suffocating soil. I am the mangrove. Mangroves are found in the intertidal regions where freshwater and saltwater intermixes. Mangroves are the only species of trees that can tolerate salt water. They deal with the toxic level of salt by excreting it through their waxy leaves. Mangroves are important to the coastal ecosystem in which they inhabit. They serve as a buffer between the marine and the terrestrial communities by protecting their shorelines. They improve water quality and reduce coastal erosion. More than the mangroves being a holistic community, they are also a home to multiple species as well as migratory birds. The mangroves live in coexistence with their neighbors, humans. The tribal villages surrounding most mangroves in India depend on them for occupation like fishing, timber, and safety from tsunamis as well as waves, like when the mangroves in the Pinchvaram wetland saved the Irula tribe from a tsunami. Their unique softwood is resistant to the decay due to salt water, making them both economically as well as ecologically valuable. Over years, there have been deforestation of mangroves in different regions of India. From 1987 to 2003, approximately there had been degradation of 200 square kilometer of mangrove area in Sundarbans and Andhra Pradesh and 100 square kilometer in Maharashtra. Due to soil erosion, we have seen degradation of 45,000 hectares of mangrove soil in India. The mangroves face many difficulties today.
Major problems include deforestation, plastic pollution, industrial waste disposal, and agricultural runoff. A large part of the world's mangroves are neither protected nor categorized as ecological hotspots. In India, the CRZ law under the Environment Protection Act categorizes mangroves as eco-sensitive areas and prohibits construction in these areas. However, this law is not enforced very strictly, and the mangroves are still degrading today. We suggest using ecotourism in the mangrove areas, no loud music or littering, more strict enforcement of environmental laws like the CRZ, and using bamboo boats in place of boats made of mangrove timber. Mosquito larvae have adapted to polluted water. Releasing fish species in the water like Gambusia can help curb the spread of diseases. To maximize land, we suggest a few changes in the outdoor vertical farming method, a pyramidal structure and reusing water. We designed a filter made using activated carbon and 4 layers of recycled silk. We did a small scale test and the results showed significant filtration. This animation shows the working of the filter. Each large circle is 2 layers of silk. Each colored circle is a different molecule: blue water, pink ink, and grey activated carbon. We chose silk because of its semi-permeability. A large-scale test of 500 ml of water and 5% ink concentration also showed good results. Approximately, each filter takes 30 rupees to make, and if submerged in the water, can absorb the chemical runoff. The next time you visit a mangrove, be sure to remember their story, their hopes and their aspirations of a green, clean earth. Carefully listen, and you will hear them whispering to you, and heed those whispers.
Genetics. Genetics is a branch of biology concerned with the study of genes, genetic variation, and heredity in organisms. Mendel studied trait inheritance, patterns in the way traits are handed down from parents to offspring over time. Natural selection explains how evolution occurs, but as time progressed, research to select the gene and breed has been applied to plants and animals in order to improve crops and livestock quality. Natural selection and selective breeding can both cause changes in animals and plants. The difference between the two is that natural selection happens naturally, but selective breeding only occurs when humans intervene. But is it advisable for humans to intervene in the natural process?
I am Pratna Chopra from grade 9M. I am Shriya Khare from grade 9M, and we'll be presenting genetics.
Genetics is a branch of biology that is concerned with the study of genes and heredity in organisms. Genetic information is stored in every cell's nucleus. Chromosomes carry this information in the form of deoxyribonucleic acid, that is the DNA. The father of genetics, Gregor Mendel, through his work on pea plants, discovered the fundamental laws of inheritance. Mendel's law of heredity states the law of dominance, the law of independent assortment, the law of segregation. The Human Genome Project was initiated in 1990 under the influence of scientist Francis Collins. Human Genome Project was extremely helpful to humans in many several ways. It has given insight in the variety of area and has brought new light in the startling findings and will keep helping in the future too. We can talk about 2 such examples. Finding the cause of diseases. It leads to successful treatments for a wide range of medical conditions. As a result, more than 1,800 genes have been discovered. With lower cost of genetic research, studies can now be done to conduct the cause of many other diseases. The data has led improvements in the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of cancer.
Genetics and breeding. Selective breeding makes use of existing naturally present gene variants in a species as a natural process of breeding. It has been derived to the study of heredity, genetics. Only after understanding the principles of Mendelian inheritance can we carry out selective breeding. Breeding and selective breeding. Selective breeding is basically selecting a wanted trait in a species and then breeding the species with those traits to produce offsprings with the desired characteristics. These offsprings are bred together over many generations until the whole population has that trait. Examples are cows that produce more milk, larger chicken, larger corn, and roses with different colors, etc. Genetically modified species. Popeye pigs. Spinach genes are put into pigs to create meat with a lower saturated fat content and the proteins of spinach. Spider goat. Silk-making genes were inserted into the mammary glands of goats. The milk has the protein that can be extracted and spun to make spider silk threads. Mutations. The Chinese angel cat. It was born normal but started growing wings a year later. Scientists could give no particular reason for the strange mutated wing. The monkey-faced pig. It was born with the face of a monkey but the body of a pig. It died 4 days later. Transparent frogs. Every internal organs of this frog could be seen. Even the heart could be seen beating.
Biomechanics and kinesiology in sports. Science plays an important role in sports in ways more than one. Nowadays, men and women are constantly pushing the technical boundaries of sports by showcasing improved performances and adapting new techniques into the games. Day after day, training sessions are making athletes grow bigger, stronger, and faster in their own sport. The use of biomechanics and kinesiology in sports help the sportspersons to enhance their physical capacity, develop improved techniques, as well as equip themselves to interact with their environment more effectively. Think of the mechanics at work in the way an athlete moves his body perfectly over a jump bar, the player aiming for a perfect free throw in basketball, or the angular velocity and the wrist rotation of a skillful player for achieving the accurate performance of a smash in badminton. In the world of sports, biomechanics and kinesiology have not only aided sports teachers in guiding students what workouts would bring the best results, but also lowered the risk of sports injuries, thereby making the sportspersons comfortable in their own skin.
Biomechanics and kinesiology. Introduction to biomechanics. Biomechanics is the study of the structure, function, and motion of the mechanical aspects of biological systems at any level, from whole organisms, organs, cells, and cell organelles using the method of mechanics. History of biomechanics. Giovanni Alfonso Borelli is often described as the father of biomechanics. He was born in Naples 1608. Borelli was the first to understand that the levers of musculoskeletal system magnify motion rather than force, so that the muscles must produce a much larger force than those resisting. Introduction to kinesiology. Kinesiology is a scientific study of human body movement, studies of human and animal motion including measures from motion tracking systems, electrophysiology of muscle and brain activity, various methods for monitoring physiological function and other behavioral and cognitive techniques. History of kinesiology. Kinesiology stems from work done by an orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Robert W. Lovett, from Boston, Massachusetts in the 1920s, although kinesiology itself originates from Aristotle, who is named as the father of kinesiology. Use of biomechanics in sports. Here are some areas where biomechanics is applied to either support the performance of athletes or to solve issues in sports or exercise. First is the identification of optimal technique for enhancing sports performance. A biomechanical analysis may help athletes to spot these potential issues before an injury occurs. The more an athlete repeats these correct movements, the more their body will be able to subconsciously move that way, even if they are tired or thinking about something else. So the equipment consists of shoes, surfaces, rackets, etc. Use of kinesiology in sports. The discipline of kinesiology is dedicated to the study of human movement and physical activity as it relates to sports, dance, and exercise. Kinesiologists also study neuroplasticity, which is the principle that the brain adapts to learning new behavior. This principle is important in sports science because it determines how an athlete learns new movement. How are they linked? Kinesiology encompasses biomechanics and uses the moments and movements which comprise the motions a body makes or does. Physical therapy, sports rehab, physiatry are all areas which rely heavily on the frameworks of these sciences to help individuals develop, build, and increase to improve performance ability. Basketball free throw shot with 3. Let's take a look at the basketball free throw shot, which consists of 6 phases. First is the perceiving phase, which consists of the preparatory phase and the ready position. The legs shoulder width apart, ball in dominant hands with the other hand supporting the ball, dominant foot aligned with the middle hoop in a staggered stance with the other leg, hip flexion 50 degrees to 90 degrees, knee flexion 80 to 90 degrees, elbow flexion 90 degrees. The first picture shows the preparatory phase and the second picture shows the ready phase is the deciding phase, which is the force production where the power is unleashed, and the critical instant where there is no point of return. Here, the knee extension is 90 degrees to 0 degrees, shoulder extension 15 degrees to 170 degrees. Hip extension 90 degrees to 0 degrees and elbow extension 90 degrees to 0 degrees. The first picture shows force production and the second picture shows the critical. Third phase is the finishing phase, which is the follow through or the recovery where it is finishing it off. Here, elbow and arms extension at 170 degrees, wrist flexion at 90 degrees, plantar flexion of the feet about 20 to 45 degrees with heels raised. Dorsiflexion as one comes down is 20 to 45 degrees with heels down. According to Knugston, 1993, these are 6 biomechanical components to optimize shooting success. First is the staggered stance, which is a vertical jump in case of a jump shot. Second is the aligned shooting plane to the basket. Third is the hip point of release. Fourth point is the proper angle of release. Fifth is coordination of upper and lower body limbs. And sixth is the backspin. Volleyball spike shot with 6 phases. Volleyball spike shot consists of 6 phases. The first phase is the preparation phase. It is important for the athlete to gain maximum momentum for the height leading to the vertical jump. Second is the run-up phase. Looking at the run-up phase of the volleyball spike, the momentum is the result of the mass of the player and the velocity approach. In order to gain maximum momentum, the athlete must apply a certain amount of force in order for inertia to increase and produce a much larger velocity. The first picture shows the preparation phase and the second picture shows the third phase is the jump phase. The leg extension at the peak height of the jump phase is important as it allows the athlete to momentarily hang in the air. This is achieved by the legs straightening from their bent position just after leaving the ground. The fourth phase is the peak height of the jump. By straightening and extending the legs at the peak height of the jump, this thus assists in conserving vertical momentum in an upward direction. The first picture shows the jump phase and the second picture shows the peak height. The fifth phase is the air phase. This then results in the athlete being able to momentarily hang their center of mass in the air. And the final phase is the finishing phase. This effect provides the athlete with time in the air to then determine the optimal position and the angle that will lead to the achievement of a successful spike. The first picture shows the air phase and the second picture shows the finish. The aim of the hit or the follow-through phase is to ensure force from the athlete's body as well as force that has been built up throughout previous phases that is being transferred into the ball to generate maximum speed, as well as accuracy and power. The ball contact should be made while the athlete is at the peak height of their jump. The airborne time of the volleyball can be reduced by creating a top spin on the ball. By doing this, this causes the ball to experience an aerodynamic force called the Magnus effect. The Magnus effect refers to the relationship between both the air pressure and the ball. In other words, pushing the volleyball downwards so that it lands fast.
With this, we come to the end of the exploratory journey that was Anweshan. I hope that the topics dealt with have given you an interesting perspective to various facts and theories. I, Ananya Madhukumar, take this opportunity to thank our Principal and Director Education, Mrs. Revati Srinivasan Madam, for providing us with such opportunities to showcase our efforts. I thank our Vice Principal, Mrs. Kanchanmala Chabukswar Madam, for fueling our scientific temper. Our gratitude to our Senior Section Head, Mrs. Meenakshi Sundar Madam, for pushing us to aim for the stars. A big thank you to our wonderful coordinators, Mrs. Sudipta Banerjee Ma'am, Mrs. Srijaya Nair Ma'am, and Mrs. Wilma Lobo Ma'am, for helping us set up and organize this display. To all the teachers who have been with us from the inception of the ideas till the final touches, thank you is just a small expression. To all the budding young scientists, entrepreneurs, and researchers whose ideas were on display today, thank you for opening our eyes to new perspectives and knowledge. A big heap of gratitude to our tech team for patiently merging the videos. I now hand over to School Captain Nia Gada for the closing segment. Thank you.
That was an amazing compilation. We have now come to the end of Anweshan 2022. It is indeed that science and technology have a symbiotic relationship with business and industry. As the captain of the school, it is my honor and pleasure to propose the vote of thanks. I would like to thank our Director of Education and Principal Madam, Mrs. Revati Srinivasan, for providing us with the opportunity to organize and conduct such a wonderful event as Anweshan 2022. I would like to extend my most sincere gratitude towards our chief guest, Dr. Radha Kumar, for motivating us throughout the journey of Anweshan 2022. Madam, truly, your inspiring thoughts are going to encourage us in our future events too. I thank our vice principals, Mrs. Kanchanmala Chabukswa Madam and Mrs. Gladys Kibrol Madam, for their guidance, support, and motivation. An event like this cannot happen overnight. It requires meticulous planning and a bird's eye for details. We have been extremely fortunate to have with us our IB section head, Mrs. Sangeeta Kapoor Madam, ISC coordinator, Mrs. Vaishali Patil Ma'am, senior section head, Mrs. Minakshi Sundar Ma'am, junior section head, Mrs. Sangeeta Londe Ma'am, and elementary section head, Mrs. Dipti Joshi Ma'am, for supporting us at every step. I express my gratitude towards our teachers for hand-holding us. I am short of words for their involvement and their willingness to be there with us even beyond school hours. I would like to thank our budding scientists. Your days of hard work were very evident in your act. We value each and every idea put forth by you. I would like to acknowledge our gratitude towards the people who have worked behind the scenes for making this event happen. A deep sense of appreciation for Standard 9 students who edited and compiled these wonderful videos for us. A big thank you to Mihika Sawant for weaving these videos together. Congratulations to Mihika Sawant, Aditi Chaudhary, Survi Lokhande, and Nidhi Matwani for qualifying to the national level of NCSE. We wish you all the very best for the competition. We are extremely grateful to Mrs. Vaijayanti Ma'am and Mr. Ankit Sir for their valuable technical support. Last but not the least, our sincere gratitude goes to all the parents and well-wishers for being pillars of support and encouragement. Without your support, children would not have been able to achieve excellence. Thank you so much for attending this event. This is Nia Gada, the school captain, signing off for today. We shall meet again next year. Till then, keep learning, keep searching, and keep the spark of Anweshan alive. Thank you.